Hey, I'm Mike, a 34-year-old soon-to-be father. Before we dive into today's story, please take a moment to like and subscribe for more tales from our life. Alright, let's get started. Tonight was supposed to be a fun one, our monthly family game night. Emma and I have been hosting these ever since we moved into our new place. It's our way of staying connected with everyone, especially now that Emma is 8 months pregnant and we're preparing for our first child. She was in the kitchen, arranging snacks on platters, her belly prominent and her smile bright whenever she caught my eye. I was busy blowing up balloons and stringing lights around the living room, trying to make the place look festive. Need any help with that? Emma called out, her voice warm, but a bit strained from the effort. I've got it, love. Just take it easy, I replied, wanting her to rest as much as possible. The doorbell rang. It was Tom and his son Jake. Tom, my older brother, was always the reliable one. Tonight, he carried a couple of pizzas and wore a gentle grin. Jake, on the other hand, trailed behind him, a soccer ball under his arm and already looking for trouble. At 15, Jake had grown tall and lanky, a stark contrast to his father's stocky build. His rebellious streak was no secret in our family, and while Tom always had excuses for him, the rest of us were running out of patience. Mike, Emma, how are you two holding up? Tom greeted us, setting the pizzas on the table. We're good, Tom. Excited for the baby, Emma answered, coming over to hug them both. Jake mumbled a hello, his eyes darting around, probably plotting where he could kick his soccer ball. Jake, remember what we talked about, no soccer ball in the house? Tom reminded him, but Jake just shrugged, a smirk playing on his lips. As the evening wore on, the living room buzzed with laughter and playful competition. We were in the middle of a charades game, and Aunt Lisa was up, flailing her arms around trying to act out her movie title. Everyone was throwing out guesses, the atmosphere light and cheerful, a stark contrast to the tension simmering just below the surface. Is it Jaws? Emma called out, laughing as Lisa exaggerated a shark's bite. No, oh, come on, it's easy, Lisa exclaimed, her movements growing even more animated. In the corner of the room, Jake was growing visibly bored with the games that didn't involve him directly. He had his soccer ball at his feet again, tapping it lightly, watching the rest of us with a disinterested expression. Every now and then he'd roll the ball a little too forcefully, sending it bumping against the furniture. Jake, why don't you join us? It's your turn next, I suggested, hoping to divert his attention from the ball. Nah, this is boring. I'm good here, he muttered, his gaze fixed on the ball. Despite the fun, Jake's disinterest and the constant thump of his soccer ball began to grate on everyone's nerves. His mom, my sister-in-law Karen, shot him a warning look. Jake, maybe put the ball away for tonight, huh? Join in the games, Karen tried to persuade him, her tone a mix of pleading and frustration. Just a few more minutes, Jake replied, barely glancing up. As the game of charades wrapped up, Jake started showing off, doing more daring soccer tricks. He juggled the ball with his knees, then flicked it up over his head, catching it on his neck and rolling it down his back. It was impressive, sure, but completely out of place. The ball narrowly missed a photo frame on a side table, causing Emma to flinch. Jake, seriously, stop. It's not safe. I warned again, my patience wearing thin. Just relax, Uncle Mike. I'm in control, he retorted, his tone defiant. The tension escalated as Jake continued, each trick seeming to push the boundaries further. He seemed to thrive on the attention, even if it was disapproving. The family's reactions were a mix of admiration for his skill and concern for the potential disaster brewing. Jake, that's enough. Tom finally stepped in, his voice stern. You're going to break something or hurt someone. Jake paused, the ball at his feet, and looked around at the concerned faces staring back at him. For a moment, it seemed like he might comply, but then, with a defiant smirk, he set the ball up for another trick. That's it. Game over, Tom declared, moving toward Jake to take the ball away. But Jake wasn't having it. He dodged his father, kicked the ball up high, and prepared for his next trick, a direct kick that would have far-reaching consequences. As the ball soared, everyone's attention was riveted on its path, a mixture of awe and horror at the audacity and the potential danger it posed. The tension in the room peaked as Jake lined up for what looked like a grand finale with his soccer tricks. Despite repeated warnings, his smirk remained undeterred, his eyes glinting with the thrill of the challenge. I stood, feeling a protective surge as I watched him angle his body, the soccer ball positioned perilously. "Just stop, Jake." Emma's voice was sharp, tinged with fear, as she clutched her belly protectively. Ignoring her plea, Jake swung his leg with precision and power, sending the ball hurtling across the room. Time seemed to slow as I watched the ball's trajectory heading straight for Emma. Her eyes widened, her hands instinctively moving to shield her stomach. My heart lodged in my throat, panic flooding my veins. In a blur of motion, Tom sprang forward with an agility I hadn't known he possessed. His hand met the ball midair, just inches from Emma. The force of the block redirected the ball sharply, sending it smashing right back toward Jake. The ball struck him squarely in the face, a sickening thud echoing through the now stunned room. Jake staggered back, his hands flying up to his nose, which was quickly reddening with blood. His look of shock mirrored the collective gasp that filled the room. The triumphant smirk he wore seconds ago vanished, replaced by pain and confusion. The silence that followed was deafening. Emma, still seated, was shaking, her breaths shallow and quick. I rushed to her side, kneeling in front of her, my hands on her knees. "Are you okay? Did it hit you?" My voice was frantic, searching her for any sign of distress. I think I'm okay," Emma stammered, her hands still over her belly, her eyes meeting mine with tearful relief. Tom was at Jake's side in an instant, assessing his son's injury, while shooting apologetic looks our way. "I'm so sorry, everyone. This is unacceptable." Tom's voice broke with a mix of anger and disappointment. "I'm okay, Dad. It just hurts," Jake mumbled through his hands, his voice muffled by the swelling. Aunt Lisa and Karen rushed over with ice and a first aid kit, tending to Jake's bleeding nose. The concern for Emma and the shock over the incident melded into a palpable tension that filled the space with unease. Tom, now holding a cold compress to Jake's nose, looked up, his expression grave. "This isn't over. We're going to talk about this at home. Seriously talk," he stated, his gaze stern on Jake, who nodded, wincing. The remainder of what was supposed to be a joyous family gathering shifted dramatically. Conversations were hushed, the laughter gone, replaced by worried whispers and shaken heads. The games were forgotten, everyone's focus now on ensuring Emma was truly unharmed and reflecting on the recklessness that could have marred more than just the evening. As the family eventually started to disperse, the gravity of what could have been a disastrous outcome weighed heavily on us all. Tom helped Jake to their car, promising to keep us updated on his condition and to ensure this kind of behavior was never repeated. Sitting back down beside Emma, who was now quietly sobbing from the shock and residual fear, I wrapped an arm around her. The night was a stark reminder of how quickly joy could turn to potential tragedy, all from a moment's recklessness. The incident, though averted thanks to Tom's quick thinking, was a wake-up call for us all, especially for Jake. The days following the game night incident were filled with reflection and serious conversations. Tom grounded Jake, and the seriousness of his actions was laid bare in a family meeting that included just the three of them. Tom later filled me in over the phone, wanting to be transparent about how they were addressing what had happened. We sat down, just me, Jake, and Karen, and really laid everything out. Respect, consequences, the whole 9 yards, Tom recounted. Jake had been quiet at first, the weight of the situation settling on his shoulders as his parents spoke. It wasn't just about a soccer ball or a moment of recklessness. It was about understanding the potential consequences that could have been tragic. I didn't think, Jake had finally said, his voice small. "I didn't realize what could have happened to Emma and the baby." His apology came during our next family gathering, which was quieter and more subdued than usual. Jake stood before us, his eyes not quite meeting ours at first. "I'm really sorry for what I did. I wasn't thinking about the risks, and I could have hurt someone very badly. I promise it won't happen again." The sincerity in his voice was palpable, and it was a start. Emma nodded, accepting his apology, her hand subconsciously resting on her belly. It was clear that Jake was beginning to understand the gravity of his actions, and with Tom's guidance, there was hope for real change. Our family, though shaken, found a way to come together in the aftermath. The incident, frightening as it was, peeled back layers of superficial interactions to reveal the core of what made us a family, our ability to support, forgive, and grow together. "We're all here for each other, and that's what counts," Aunt Lisa said during dinner, her voice warm and inclusive. It was a sentiment echoed by everyone around the table, a shared commitment to nurture and look out for one another, especially with a new member on the way. As we awaited the arrival of our baby, the sense of unity was stronger than ever. Emma and I often talked about how we wanted to raise our child in an environment of love and understanding, using what had happened with Jake as a lesson in empathy and responsibility. The final weeks before the baby's arrival were filled with preparations and anticipation. Our home, once the scene of a near disaster, now buzzed with positive energy and the promise of new beginnings. Emma decorated the nursery, and I put together the crib, each stroke of the paintbrush and turn of the screwdriver solidifying our readiness to welcome our child into the world. Looking back on that night, it was a stark reminder of how quickly things could change, but also of how deep our family's roots ran. We had been tested, surely, but in the end, we emerged closer and more connected than before. As I wrap up this story, with the nursery ready and the house quiet, I think about the future, about the lessons we'll pass on to our child. The importance of thinking before acting, of respecting others, and of the strength of family bonds. These aren't just lessons for Jake, they're for all of us, a reminder of what truly matters in life. That wraps up our story, but it leaves us with a pressing question to ponder. Should teenagers like Jake be held to adult standards of accountability when their actions lead to dangerous outcomes? Or should their age and maturity level factor into how they are disciplined? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and the discussion it sparked, please like the video and consider subscribing to our channel for more engaging content like this. Your support helps us continue these conversations and connect with more stories.